What's happening, everyone? The football therapist here to talk about two rookie wide receivers, Kadarius Toney and Tylan Wallace. Who will I choose? Let's hit that intro. So the first receiver we're going to be starting with here is Kadarius Toney. He had a really good last season at Florida. A lot of people are projecting him to be a first-round pick, which would be elite draft capital for a wide receiver, depending on where he falls in that first round. But again, his profile doesn't really match that to me. He's 5'11", 189 pounds. He had a late breakout age this last season at 21.6. He had a college dominator of 23.7, and even in his best season, he wasn't even the top receiving option on his team. That was Kyle Pitts. He only had 70 receptions, and he didn't crack 1,000 yards, so that kind of worries me a bit. He had a 17.8% target share and 14.1 yards per reception. So while he may get that elite draft capital, and on tape, he looks really good. He was really good with his route running, and he was a really efficient slot receiver. I don't really see him being an elite wide receiver prospect. I think that there's a little bit of flaws in his analytical profile here, and while he could have some success at the next level, I think he'll be more of a wide receiver 3 on a team in a really slot heavy role that will see him having limited production. So let's look at Tylan Wallace now. This guy to me has a prototypical Z wide receiver for the next level on the outside. He's 5'11", 193 pounds. He has a 19.3 breakout age. His true sophomore season put up almost 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns. It was just an elite season for the guy. He got hurt in his junior year, so his draft stock kind of dipped. I see a lot of people potentially putting him in the second round to third round. But again, weighing that draft capital versus the analytics, this is a situation where I wanted to break down Toney versus a guy like Wallace, where the analytics really need to match up to that draft capital. And I think Wallace could be more of a fantasy star than Kadarius Toney. So his dominator was a 41.7%, which is an elite number there. He had a 29.3% target share, which is an elite number, and 16.3 yards per reception, which was an elite number. Of course, the team at Oklahoma State passed a lot more downfield, but all of the metrics for a guy like Tylan Wallace really add up to a potential fantasy star at the next season based on historical trends. So when looking at these different wide receivers that are going to be in this upcoming rookie draft class, you gotta weigh in a lot of different factors. It's not all draft capital, it's not all analytical profile, it's not all game tape. Everything needs to come together into one. We see a guy like Toney, who I personally am a little bit lower on because of the analytical profile. He may get that draft capital, he may get a good situation, and it may change my mindset. A guy like Wallace, who I'm really high on now, has that analytical profile, may not get that draft capital, and then we'll see where he lands as well, and that could also change my mindset. For me though, looking at these guys, looking at the analytical profiles is very important right now. I lean heavily with Wallace because he has a terrific analytical profile and could be a day 2 prospect. I mean, we saw it last year. Henry Ruggs went in the first round, first wide receiver taken off the board, didn't have the analytical profile you'd like to see. T. Higgins went on day 2. Early day 2 of course, but had that analytical profile and really outperformed Henry Ruggs. So again, there's pros and cons for looking at different things, but for me, if I'm having to choose between Toney and Wallace, the clear-cut winner for me is Wallace based on that analytical profile. Let me know what you think about this video below and these two prospects.